seen that, haven't you?
There's been a surprising lack of steam engines while they've been sitting here.
Yeah, for a steam rally, there's no steam.
Oh, there's no steam engines. Well, yeah, we haven't seen anything else. But thinking maybe later this evening they'll all turn up, you know. Hello. These things are fantastic. What's that, Alfie?
The thing is, the moment we go in, the moment you two go in, I think that's going to be the most amazing thing! To go in and we'll sing!
I started him off on this, I'm afraid. I said, if you want to see a steam engine, you've got to go indoors and make it come. Because as soon as you go in, it won't arrive.
I don't want you! Because I know, if someone comes in and really, really loves steam engines, I'll go right.
Like it. What is? Yeah, it's definitely a steam engine.
Oh yeah. Got that smell.
I'd like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that this particular commentator had to get up very early this morning and arrive by car. The Chinook commentator is arriving like this. There is no justice in the world.
Oh my God. Holy crap.
Over 360, Charlie's now going to reposition off to the left-hand side of the crowd. He's going to be doing a wing over quite tight to come in for everyone's favourite theme park ride, the roller coaster. This is where Sergeant Andy Cole in the rear of the cabin is going to hold on tight as he's going to be getting to the top of a mountain, essentially throwing the rear end in the air. Andy's holding on.
Christ almighty.
Charlie positions the aircraft approximately 80 degrees nose up and then 80 degrees nose down. The aircraft is not designed to do this, however, with a lot of training, Charlie's able to do this. He's now going to reposition off to crowd right, and he's going to be coming in for, again, the nose over 360, this time along the A-axis. If you didn't have your cameras ready first time, you'll have the cameras ready second time. noise you hear is what we call blade slap. That's where both rotors are going through the same pocket of air. Again, unfortunately, the Chinook is a noisy aircraft, so it gives our position to the enemy quite easily. Repositioning now out to crowd left is going to be a wing over, and he's going to come in for a nose down 270 quick stop. This is a maneuver often used in Afghanistan by many of the aircraft captains to stop the aircraft in a very small space. Usually during medical evacuations, when it's a late spot on troops and to avoid gunfire, you need to keep the speed up and then stop the aircraft around a point. The nose down 270. The ramp is down and Sergeant Andy Colwell's on the ramp. He's got his big orange hands. Ladies and gentlemen, give Andy a big wave today. This sideward movement is a great opportunity to show how helicopters can move in all directions. As the aircraft passes you, you'll notice it has 3 hooks on the centre. The middle hook is actually stored for this exercise. The centre hook can actually take about 10.5 metric tons, which is a large tank. We can carry up to 3 loads and a cabin full of troops during our movements. 13.5 correction, which allows Charlie to show its great manoeuvrability.
No less than 3 SE5s, 2 Junker CL1s, and of course the BE2, and the Sopwith triplane. Indeed, loads of them. Good heavens, great googly moogly. Then we move on to something completely different, a demonstration of world-class aerobatics, freestyle from Ed's sister there in, well, the ultimate, the XA41 SBAT. But it is amazingly maneuverable, and what Peter Kuipers does with it, well, I'm just waiting for the day when he actually does the business. Does a roll. Oh, we never said that. No, never said. Never.
He's an airline pilot in his day job, and in some of his spare time, he's also been known to fly around in Sally B, the B-17. You can see the twin tails stuck behind the engines for maximum effectiveness. Also gives the mid-upper gunner a better field of view. There was a tail gunner, 2 gunners in the side, you'll be able to see their windows as you come past, and many had the glazed nose, which also had a fixed machine gun.
I mean, he really does fly this aeroplane so well. Highly experienced, he's flown hundreds of displays in numerous countries in Europe. Dropped airborne paratroopers from DC-3s as well, flown the DC-3 C-47 as well as the Yak-50. He dropped paratroopers, as I say, from the Dakota over Normandy and Arnhem for World War II memorials. Started at 14 on gliders, as so many do. I'll come back to the whole concept of gliding a little bit later on.
The bomb bay open there, ladies and gentlemen. The aircraft was termed as a medium bomber, although the bomb load was not that dissimilar to the B-17. This particular aircraft does have an interesting history. This has been used for parachute dropping, and not all of this aeroplane's history is necessarily legal.
Look at that wing over. It was 90 degrees and just a little bit beyond. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Kuipers, this is your captain speaking, because his daytime job is flying a Boeing 737 for KLM. Hey.
See Peter opening the bomb bay as he comes past there again. Some of these aircraft were fitted with a solid nose, which was just packed full of machine guns. There was even one version with a 75mm anti-shipping gun. Apparently when it fired, the recoil almost stopped the aircraft in mid-air, but it was definitely an aeroplane that you wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of. Joined above by the very famous Spitfire LH434, the wonderful Mark 9 from the old Flying Machine Company. They are going to join up into a box formation with us, sincerely hoping that we get rather more than 2 4-ship flybys. We're hoping for something just a little bit more special.
Melvin, this is living history. Ladies and gentlemen, you are witness today here at Dunsfold to something very, very special. Cast your eyes out to the left.
So they're going to be coming over soon.
George.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your left, we have 2 Lancasters and the 2 fighters from the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. You'll be very pleased to hear that while these are flying past, all you're going to hear is the aeroplanes.
No, you'll see them as they get close, you can see them.
On your shoulder.
Okay, bye. There they come, look. You have to clap them.
And I'm leaning on your shoulder.
There they are, look. You'll see them. Come over here.
Wow.
Lancaster started out with the original Avro Manchester design, which was flawed because the wingspan was limited by the Air Ministry to fit into standard hangars. It was also powered by 2 Rolls-Royce Vulture engines, which were very good at failing. Sadly, they didn't get the development they needed, and when one engine stopped, the other one was really only very good to get you to the scene of the crash. The Hurricane, of course, is famous for its part in the Battle of Britain. But aircraft such as this, 2C with the cannon armament, were used against ground targets very successfully for the war after they became more or less obsolescent on the front line. R.J. Mitchell's Spitfire was one of only 2 aircraft that were in frontline service on the first and last day of the war. The other was the Fairey Swordfish.
Was he really?
Early Spitfires were armed with 8-303 Browning machine guns. Later ones were armed with a combination of cannon and machine gun. The wings were strengthened so they could also carry bombs, but the Spitfire was always hampered by a lack of range. Early Spitfire. The Hurricane that you see in front of you is embarked in the colours of the Southeast Asia Command.
You stay here.
Whereas I mentioned they did sterling work supporting the ground troops.
You stay here with Daddy, haven't you?
Is in the markings of the last Spitfire to do an operational sortie, and that was I believe in 1954. So ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your left, we have once again the Lancasters lining up to come over. And I will be passing passing the commentary over to 8 Rolls-Royce Merlins. I'm told it's 4 Rolls and 4 Packards. Which is at the back of the marquee area. We currently have the Jet Provost pilot, Dan Arlett, and we have the NAP pilot. So if you'd like to go along, say hello, get them to autograph you. Now we mentioned a long list of countries that the Hunter was sold to. The Canberra was sold to Australia, Argentina, Chile, Ecuador, Ethiopia, France, India, New Zealand, Pakistan, Peru, Rhodesia, South Africa, Sweden, Venezuela and West Germany. And that will do a 360 degree out in front of you in that configuration.
Well, there we are, Melvin. You have been working hard, but I just can't make my mind up whether I love that wing configuration or whether I really don't like it.
I think it's rather wonderful. I think, it has that wonderful first generation with the podded engines and the engines built into the wing.
I guess that's why it has to be so broad in that particular position, yeah.
But of course that's what gave it its high altitude stability.
Absolutely. And what did they get up to?
70,000 feet.
Being a cameraman's not a bad job, is it, really?
Sorry?
Being a cameraman's not a bad job, it's quite a lot of fun.
It gets boring at times, I think.
Which was really a much more primitive aeroplane, followed out by the Sopwith triplane. And then aircraft with a great Dunsfold connection because, of course, Sopwith became Hawker, became Walter Siddeley, became British Aerospace. And we have two replica Junkers J1 ground attack aircraft, and followed by two Fokker triplanes.
Love to fly the right lane. I always wanted to do that. It's like really
Well, that's quite a collection of aeroplanes. The SP5, of course, was flown by many all the
Now coming in front of us we have the Sopwith triplane and the B-2 replica. The B-2 is an artillery observation aeroplane. It's a very, very stable aeroplane, which made it also difficult to manoeuvre, which also meant that it got shot down in quite large numbers. It was nicknamed Fodder.
yes, the sort of thing you don't want to say with a list.
It was first to have a machine gun that could fire through the rotating propeller blades without shooting the propeller off. It meant you could aim the aeroplane rather than just aim the gun.
Oh wow.
The other way is the Sopwith triplane.
Another sort of wonderful delay, just like this, isn't it? Often. The extraordinary thing to remember is when these young people who were fighting in excess of 20 hours.
Yes.
In the freeze, okay, they were all frozen.
They were all frozen, yes. And in some aircraft, the span, for example, had no firewall, so your feet were next to the engine, burning up because they're nice and hot. And then the rest of you was freezing cold, and you were sitting on a fuel tank, which if you caught fire, wasn't very nice.
It's extraordinary, really. I mean, you really had to kind of get into the history and read some of the books to understand how really extraordinary it all was and how the people involved, I don't know, to the general.
I know, I think it was the case that they did it. You now see one of the Junkers has managed to get a few bullets into the B-2 over on the right-hand end.
They were very successful, around the attack.
That's ground set, they're phenomenally successful. They're actually one of the earliest aircraft that was all metal. The B-2, this particular B-2 is based on a Tiger model that was built for the TV series Queens back in the 70s. It's been lovingly restored by Matt Newton.
You can see it sort of Tiger in the great prominence.
Oh, you can. It's about sort of, again, it's about 2/3 the size of a real B-2. Spitfire saved a lot of lives. Now we have the Junkers CL1s in front of you. The originals were built, as I said, from corrugated aluminium. Powered by the very widely used 160 horsepower stroke 6 Mercedes, which is a wonderful engine. I'm involved with the Memorial Flight Association in France. We have a similar engine, the BMW, on a Fokker D7. That's 19.1 litres for 185 horsepower at 1400 RPM. Now we have one of the SE5s down attacking one of the Junkers, which appears to have been hit. The Vulcan triplane is one of the most widely recognised aircraft of World War I, and is often seen to be being the direct opponent of the Sopwith Camel. But when you learn some of the facts, over 14,000 Sopwith Camels were built and just 320 Fokker triplanes. In fact, there's probably been more replica Fokker triplanes made than there ever were originals.
There wasn't the Fokker triplane direct or attempt to copy the Sopwith.
Not a direct attempt to copy, but all German aircraft companies were ordered to make triplanes after the Sopwith was seen at the front. Mounts did them, Albatross did them, but it was the Fokker that went into production. course, that led eventually to an aircraft called the Vulcan D6, and ultimately to the Vulcan D7, which, like the SE5, was really a next-generation aeroplane. Both SE5s and Vulcan D7s remained in American air service after the war.
At Mulleroyd, a necktie we call them. Again, tumbling manoeuvres gyroscopically initiated by stamping on the rudder. Into the vertical, yaw again. Really, it's a cap Longshaback. We used to call them in the old days, named after a Czechoslovakian cocktail. You have a couple of those, do one of these manoeuvres, and you feel about the same after each. Invented in Czechoslovakia by the first world aerobatic champion, Cutting-edge technology, this aircraft, entirely carbon fibre, has got a spring steel undercarriage. It'll take a landing rate of over 2,000 feet a minute. That's a serious cruncher. The cockpit, ergonomically designed. The cockpit, the instrument panel even lifts when you push the canopy up to get out. The instrument panel lifts away from your legs. Take up to a 6'7" pilot.
I got it.
Oh, that's a... I know what he was trying to do there. Yes. Might have been better off with smoke. Yes. Basically, it's a Zurakovsky. He was trying a Zurakovsky cartwheel, trying to roll in the vertical through 360 degrees by yawing. First done in a meter, of course, by a gentleman called Zurakovsky, Polish pilot. Again, that flat turn, I like it. I'm all over flat turns like a rash. That just shows the amount of directional stability it's got against its rudder power. I do them in my little cub, but it takes a little bit longer. Fuel tank completely separate from the cockpit, a great safety feature. First production aircraft ever built and designed and tested actually with crash dummies. Incredibly strong, as I say, stressed to +12, -12 at least, but only the wing, a double carbon spar, again tested not to 12 but to 18 G, 18 times. And we'll go, oh, torque roll, sliding back, oh, it's a good torque roll. He decided to stop it. I'm sure he didn't bottle out of it. Okay, that's where the aircraft is rolling backwards around the engine. It comes to a stop in the vertical. You apply a little bit of aileron to the left with it. Oh, look at that roll rate. There is your 450 degrees a second plus and a -4 push. Aileron rolling to knife edge. And there he is again. I love that slipping knife edge with the smoke on. Yes, that's cool. I like that. All these freestyle shows are about choreography. And at the Worlds, if you want to win freestyle, you have to come up with something just a little bit different. And then Sister certainly making a very big effort here with his Mulleroids, spins, knife edge flying, slow flight, hovering rolls, and all the rest of it. You can snap roll this aeroplane, which he is doing there, but not at that speed, up to 200 miles an hour. It's just absolutely unheard of for an aerobatic aircraft to be snap rolled. Apply full rudder and snap the stick back at 200 miles an hour. That is strong. That is impressive.
Oh, and they've got the
That's most important.
Really surprised, I think. Flat out.
Hurricane, the Mustang and the Spitfire taxiing out ready for their display. And then we will be getting the Vulcan coming through at 16:05, 5 minutes past 4, and that will be initially in formation with the Nat. So that's something.
Going flying at the open. Lovely sunny day, while in the Spitfire in H434. Now that I like, nice and tight.
Climb quickly to get to height, to deal with incoming bombers, defend its home base, and then return to base. It's only designed with 85 gallons of fuel. Getting extra fuel into the Spitfire was something that was done throughout the war, whereas the Mustang was designed being the next generation on, really, from the Spitfire, but certainly the initial Spitfires. It was designed with long range in mind, with over 1,000 litres of internal fuel and another 850 litres in drop tanks. It enabled it to fly for very long periods and to be able to escort bombers all the way to Berlin and back. It also had a new laminar flow wing, taking lessons from a lot of the lessons learned in aerodynamics in the early years of World War II. So it was a little bit slipperier than the Spitfire 2.
Wine there from the Mustang, of course, from the gun ports. Very close formation.
Oh yeah.
The early Spitfire by Nats. Vulcan and Nats. What a lovely sight coming in from the left.
What's going on?
Look at this funny plane.
Daddy.
Look.
Kev Rumans is the man flying the Vulcan today, and the other pilot alongside him is Phil O'Dell, and the third man on the crew, the air electronics operator, is Phil Davies down the back. He always says 558 is my baby. He has a team of 6 engineers who daily work miracles keeping that aeroplane airborne. Look at that, what a lovely shape that is in the sky on the far side of the airfield.
Wow.
Chris Heames leading the Vulcan. I would imagine he doesn't want to look over his shoulder much, that could be quite intimidating. Kev Wyman on Vulcan's right wing, Mark Fitzgerald on Vulcan's left wing. These aircraft are operated under charitable arrangements. Vulcan, of course, is operated by the Vulcan to the Sky Trust, which is a brilliant design flight, nor did you see it become the first successful operational delta-winged aircraft in the world.
absolutely love
Well,
it.
there you heard it, the famous and unique
Fantastic.
Vulcan howl. We may hear another one later in the display, coming from those 4 Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus 202 turbojets, about 16,500 pounds of static thrust from each of them, 65,000 pounds in total. And what that enables this aeroplane to do was originally to carry hydrogen bombs, part of the mutually assured destruction, which was what the Cold War was all about. You dare come and attack us and we'll obliterate you and probably the rest of the planet in the process. And the extraordinary thing was, it worked. Frederick Forsyth said that it's a fool of a nation that doesn't honour its veterans and revere its saviours. Through its long career, the Avro Vulcan was both. Through the most dangerous years, 56 to 1969, she patrolled the perimeters of hostile airspace. And Frederick Forsyth went on to say, when tensions were at their highest, Vulcan held the line, saying by its presence to any aggressor, don't even try it. And they didn't. Bomb bay doors opening. There you see the capacious bomb bay. Originally intended to carry the hydrogen bomb, but later in her career to carry 21 1,000-pound bombs. So a payload of 21,000 pounds. And it was that payload that right at the end of her operational career in 1982, Vulcan 607 took from Ascension Island all the way down to the Falkland Islands and bombed the runway at Port Stanley when it was occupied by the Argentines. Bomb bay closing. That, I think, was called the Kev Rumin's turn. That bombing trip down to the Falkland Islands, it was 7,760 miles, the longest bombing raid in history at the time. It's about the same distances from here to Bali in a single hop, and it took no less than 18 air-to-air refuelings to get the Vulcan there and back. And she was flown on that occasion by Captain Martin Withers, who is now the chief pilot of the Vulcan for the Sky Trust, but actually not with us.
To give those of you with an engineering mind an idea, there are things such as little spacers on this aircraft that are fitted in with a clearance of just 3 thou. This Hurricane was built by a Canadian car and foundry factory in Canada in 1942. CCF produced around 1,451 Hurricanes under license in the early years of World War II. This Hurricane joined the Royal Canadian Air Force and served as a home-based fighter for the duration of the war. Many of these aircraft found their way onto farms all around Canada as a really useful source of nuts and bolts and tubing, and they were gradually stripped out, and some of those hulks have been rescued in more recent years and returned to pristine aeroplanes like this one.
Hey Joe, did I see you on the side of that? How far? I almost got it. Did you go to the top? I was at 2 miles. Did you see it? Did you see it? I saw Joe sort of. Joe was on the other side. Yeah.
I only got about half. You've got these cool.
The restoration of this aircraft was finished in January 2009, and she was rolled out in a fighter bomber configuration in the markings of BE 505 that was based at Manston and operated by 174 Mauritius Squadron in spring of 1942.
A better perspective into the area. Now look out your front and see if you can spot any further enemy fire.
Apache, this is Hammer. We're receiving fire. Conduct a rapid descent and stand by to be called in for a strike.
Officer Bruce Allen and Captain Sam Blackmore are now positioning with the use of a wing over. Captain Sam Blackmore in the front seat there will be lining up the sights to engage that target with a Hellfire missile. Apache